It has been a Super Sunday in every aspect of the word when it comes to the football fixtures this weekend. But today we're just going to focus on Chelsea against Arsenal. The late kickoff on Sunday in the Premier League, a London derby. These two are proper rivals in the true sense of the word. And this was a huge game in both the title race and the race for European football this season in the English top flight. So as always, guys, for these big games, I'm going to take a look at this and review it with the 5 things that we learned from Chelsea against Arsenal. So the first key moment of the match was where Kai Havertz, of course, the man who used to be a Chelsea player, the man who won Chelsea the Champions League with his goal a couple seasons ago, he managed to put the ball into the net, but he was adjudged to be marginally offside. He was just kind of hanging around and nobody was in about 10 yards or so of him, but fortunately for the Chelsea back line, he was correctly called as being offside, only by half a yard or so, but there you go, that's the difference at the end of the day. But it was a good finish by him, it was a really inventive thing to do, and it just didn't work out for him. Something that perhaps he's been working on the training ground for at the end of the day, something like that. So the second thing that we learned is that Martin Odegaard, who was back for this game after a lengthy spell on the sidelines for Arsenal, he makes a huge difference to this side, and it was his assist that made the first goal, the opening goal of the game in the second half. It was an excellent pass just across the box, just a really simple floated ball, but these great players, they make complicated things look very simple, difficult things look very simple indeed, and that's exactly what the Norwegian midfielder did in this instance here. He passed it over to Gabriel Martinelli, and Martinelli put the ball into the net. A fine strike, but should Sanchez have done better in goal for Chelsea? I would say absolutely. And this is something I want to talk about as well, the third thing that we learned here. You know, all that money that Chelsea have spent, all those billions of pounds they have spent, they have got some incredible players in their squad. We see how good their second team is. Of course, they won 8-0 in the Conference League in midweek against, admittedly, against an Armenian team, FC Noah, but still, they are doing very well in that regard. Their second team is better than most Premier League first teams, but where they're very weak is the goalkeeping department. They've signed goalkeepers over this past few years, but Sanchez in goal for me, he's not a top goalkeeper. He just is not, and I think he really should have done better in that instance as well. It was a good hit, don't get me wrong, but still, it was at his near post. It should have easily been saved, in my opinion, by a goalkeeper that should be good enough to be number one between the sticks for Chelsea. But there we go. But I tell you what, Maresca, fair play to him. He is doing his best with his side. They are not a bad team at all, and you know, it was a good. I'll say the result. It was a 1-1 draw. I don't think I mentioned that up until this point. You know, Maresca's doing really well with this team, but he can only do so much with them. You know, they're not a top side, but they are that can really mix it up with these top sides, and that is what ended up happening. Pedro Neto getting the equalising goal not too long after Arsenal got the opener, in fairness. So Arsenal's 6-year unbeaten streak. I said that Arsenal struggled to go to Stamford Bridge. It's kind of the other way around. Chelsea are struggling to play against Arsenal at Stamford Bridge in recent seasons. Their 6-year unbeaten streak at Stamford Bridge will become a 7-year unbeaten streak, most likely, if they don't get each other in the cup or something like that. But yeah, it was a 1-1 draw, honours even in this sense as well. And the final thing is that Arsenal, I don't think they're quite out of the title race yet, but they are looking precarious in this regard. They are still level with Chelsea, of course, because both teams got 1 point, but they are 9 points behind Liverpool at the top of the league. They haven't won in 3 games. This is how quickly these things can kind of fall off. In fairness, Liverpool are 5 points ahead of Manchester City. That is how well they are doing right now, all the Reds. So for me, Arsenal really needs to get a run together. They've had their little wobble now. They need to come back in the second, well, not in the second half of the season, after the international break, I should say, with absolutely everything to prove. And they've got to get a winning streak going. They've got to win, and they've got to keep winning. They've got to pray that teams like Man City and Liverpool slip up, because otherwise they ain't got a hope in hell of getting that title. But yeah, there we go, guys. Those are the 5 things that we learned from Chelsea against Arsenal. What do you think about the game this afternoon in the Premier League? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, to keep you subscribed to thefootballchronicle.com to see much more content on the world of football, just like this.